E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live. With your host, Donna Guimwa, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Guimwa Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Messages of Inspirational Stories. Jim, it's so good to be here with you today.
It really is. It's an honor and a pleasure anytime we get out there in TV land and talk about some of the wonderful programs we have each and every week. And Donna, we are so blessed because it's easy, ladies and gentlemen, to have an idea or to do a program or something of this nature. But when other people start popping up that you've never met before and they're excited about what you're doing, that's a huge positive step in the right direction, isn't it?
It is. It's a nice compliment. It's a nice compliment.
It really is.
But today we're talking, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, it's really good to see you here in the studio, and I'm just proud to be here.
I know. I'm excited. We have some awesome, we're going to be talking about some awesome youth today. Today is about youth making a big difference. And I can't wait to get into that because I got to tell you, folks, as an adult, there is so much we can learn from these youth.
Yes, there is. One of the big things that we can learn from them right out of the gate is that when they start out on something, they don't think of or worry about failure.
No, they're in hyper-focus mode. But, before we jump into the stories, I want to do a shout out.
Amen. Thank you very much. I appreciate that shout out.
I want to, give a shout out to all the amazing role models for our youth. So mom, dad, aunt, uncle, it just doesn't matter. It could be the pastor, the teacher. It could be the neighbor next door. Could be siblings. It just doesn't matter. But, our youth, folks, we all know our children are the most precious thing in the world to us. And it doesn't matter how old they are. And it doesn't matter how old we are. We still have that protectiveness in us over our children. But they are the commodity. They are if you want to use that word, commodity. They are the beauty and the light and the love of this world. And anytime we can give them a hand up, then our world is definitely going to be a better place.
Absolutely. And when it comes to giving shout outs to people like that who are mentors are of all ages. And, I think about some of the people who have been mentorships, been a lot to me in their mentoring and the things that they demonstrate in their life, the way that they help, the way that they go the extra mile, the ones that really care for you. And they'll send you a text and say, hey, how you doing today? Been thinking about you. And I want to give a shout out to none other than Bill Heinrich. The 7 Levels of Truth. Donna and I, we know him very well. I'm thinking to get that pretty clear. I'm not good with the cameras and all that stuff. I'm as good with a microphone. But Bill Heinrich is a personal friend of ours. He created the 7 Levels of Truth. We both have copies of his books, and it's just amazing the contribution he has given back to all of us, people that know him and work with him. And, all of the help that he's given us, Donna, it's just amazing. And he does it freely. See, that's the beauty in being a mentor. You're not looking for anything in return. You're looking for how you can invest in someone's life. And that's what we should do, whether there's someone 10 years older than us, 10 years younger than us, or whatever that might be.
Absolutely.
Throughout the spectrum.
You know,
Plus, Plus, let me just say this, if I may, Donna. Plus, it's a good standard to set for other people of all ages to observe.
Absolutely. I was just going to add to that, Jim. When we talk about mentors of all age,
Mhm.
here we are all grown up, right? I think one of the best mentors I can get in my life is to be able to spend quality time with a small child.
Mhm.
You know what they teach me? Don't take life so damn serious. We're not getting out of here alive anyway. And they have that wonder, right?
Mhm.
And awe. And I think it's so important for us to remember that and bring that back into our life and bring giggles and silliness and happiness back in.
Mhm. Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, we encourage you out there in TV land, if you'd like to for us to share a shout out that you'd like to give to someone, please email us at inspiration at e360tv.com. You see it on the marquee there. One of our staff members will get it and get it to us, and we'll be more than happy to do that because
Absolutely.
just being able to let someone know that you were thinking of them, you wanted to give them a shout out, and let them know how much you appreciated them. That's
Right.
just off the chart.
Absolutely. Well, Jim, do you want to kick this off?
Well, one of the things that I subscribe to, and I really do enjoy it, and that is, I'm on the mailing list. I get it every day. Is Nice News, because with all of the doom and gloom and all of the
Yes.
wickedness and the meanness and all the things that we know that's vomited on society, I go like, time out. I'm not playing that game. But Nice News, they send out information on nice things people do all over the world, different things, interesting topics. And today we got this one in on an 11-year-old boy he created his very own food bank out of a shed. And this was over in England. And he's 11 years old, and his name is Isaac Winfield. And he turned a very small project in bringing groceries to people in need and into the full blown, he's now a full blown bank operation.
Food bank operation.
Yeah, he started that in 2020, didn't he, Donna?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did.
Yeah. And the catalyst behind his idea was that he realized that his new school didn't have a food donation program.
Right.
And him being a very resilient little lad that he is, he simply said, "It's all right. We'll give them food at my house." And that's what he told his mom. And she says, "I was laughing, but he had just broken his arm, and so she went along with him just to cheer him up some. And he doubled his money that they had given him. And normally for to buy food parcels when he went down to the local supermarket.
Oh, to
A-
Aldi. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Aldi. Yeah, and with some help, he began running a 24/7 food bank out of a shed at his home over in Redditch, UK. And when anyone would stop by, they could just stop by and take what they needed. And his project will soon be growing even bigger because a local charity is helping him open an expanded, listen to this, brick and mortar food bank in his town. And for his 11th birthday, he just wanted food bank donations, and the shed that was absolutely rammed. He said, I just wanted to get as many donations as possible to help as many people as I can. Wow. Can you imagine what a wonderful world this world would be if
Right.
everyone had the attitude that they wanted to give and help as many people as they could? Oh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
mm,
How beautiful is that? Because, we know not just here in the United States, Jim, but we know throughout
mhm,
the world that there are so many children who go hungry.
yes.
And, you know, it's it's a shame because a lot of those children um, are falling asleep in class because they don't have enough nutrition to keep them going for their
Mhm,
energy, right?
mhm,
And what a beautiful thing that he's done. And I love the fact that his heart is so big that he
Hmm.
just opened it up for everybody.
Hmm. He
Come take
sure
what
did.
you need. It wasn't a, well, you were just here yesterday, so you can't have this. It's just come take what you need. It's here
Hmm.
for you.
And it really shows a lot of respect for him and what he's doing there
And
at
integrity.
yes, because a lot of people would very easily take advantage of that, but
Right.
because they know his story and his mission, there's not been any not any signs or any knowledge of any abuse or anything like that. People are, and really, when you look, I love those videos where a person will go up and give a homeless person some money and then follow them around on the camera to see
Oh,
what they
yes,
do with the
yes.
money.
Hmm.
Those people who get money, who are homeless, who are broke, who don't know if they're going to have a nickel tomorrow or not, they share whatever they have with other homeless people.
Hmm.
Mm. Man, oh man, we
Yeah,
could all learn a lesson from that, couldn't we?
we really could. We
Mm.
really, really could. So, this next one, if I can get to it, these are inspirational stories.
Hmm.
And, um, well, now I'm having a hard time finding it. There we go.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm in the same boat here, but I'm just going to start out with a young man here, if I may.
Absolutely.
When we talk about people making a difference and young kids making a difference, there was a young man over in South Carolina. I read this story many years ago, so I'm going a little bit off of memory, but he saw a need to help elderly people with just the little things. And, to help them with the groceries, go run errands for them and things like that. And he actually started a cause that included not other kids, but also adults. And when you think about that, starting a good, wonderful cause like that to get other people involved, because when it comes to leadership, leadership is nothing about, hey, this is what we're going to do, follow me.
Right,
Leadership is about getting other people to believe in the same things that you do, and they're eager to pitch in and help and do their share, because that's what
right.
makes anything successful is when everyone pitches in, does their share, and everyone reaps benefits from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I did find this. So this is, and I hope I pronounced the names right.
Hmm.
Mileti and Isabel Huygens.
Hmm.
They were 10 and 12 years old, respectively, when they started on a course of activism that drastically decreased the global usage of single use plastic. The young
Hmm.
women were inspired by the country of Rwanda's ban of polyethylene bags in 2008, and they
Wow.
decided to try to get their native Bali to do the same. Their homegrown initiative, um, excuse me, their homegrown, I just lost my place. Oh my goodness. There it is. Initiative of beach cleanups and government petitions graduated to an organization advocating for reduced plastic use in 15 different countries.
Mm.
Bali is now officially plastic bag free.
Mm.
Indonesia will be by, and this article is a little bit older, but it says in the article by 2021. And they have the Wygens to thank. So that's a huge issue, Jim.
Hmm. It really, truly is, because seeing a need and answering the call to duty, my goodness gracious, it
Right.
doesn't get any better than that. It really doesn't.
Well, and the plastic bags, we know that they're everywhere in the ocean,
Hmm.
right? We can't get away from them. On a windy day, I don't think there's probably a town around that isn't has a plastic bag flying around. And what happens, Jim? Those go, first of all, they don't decompose, but
Hmm.
they get trapped. Animals get trapped in them. They get it around their neck or around their mouth or,
Hmm.
something like that. So, the more we can do to conserve and uh, utilize what we have and not make more waste, the better off we are.
Hmm. You're exactly right, because when it comes to kids making a difference, they put their heart into it. They don't worry about,
Right.
the things that we would worry about,
Absolutely.
because they just go forward with a simple, positive attitude that, hey, I can do something.
Hmm.
And that's an attitude we should all have, because Anne Frank Mozart, uh, Louis Brazil, Louis of Brazil, listen to me, Louis Braille. The history is full of young people who astounded the world by what they could do with their thoughts and their creations.
Right.
And although we may think this latest generation is, they're just without a cell phone, they're lost and all that. Don't kid yourself, because these kids, a lot of these kids, they're looking for an outlet to show how they can shine. And one of the young ladies I want to mention is a young lady. This is published in the Reader's Digest, Greta Thunberg, as she is a top contender this year, 2022, for this year's Nobel Peace Prize. She's 17 years of age. And she lives over in Sweden. And she started out by missing class to protest alone in front of the Swedish parliament as a school strike for climate action. And this ended up inspiring millions to demonstrate around the world. Just over a year later, she addressed the global leaders at the United Nations Climate Action Summit. This is a 17-year-old girl.
Right.
Now, how many 17-year-old girls, how many high school kids could go in and do that,
Not many.
Not many at all. But she didn't think, I'm just 17, they won't respect me. She had a focus on what the end result is. And that's what it takes in life for
Right.
these young kids, and for us old kids, for us to be able to, reach our goal. We got to start with the end result in life. What is it that we visualize? What is it that we see? And her biggest accomplishments in motivating people like herself, as well as governments, to rally, to take action, to improve our life and improve the planet. And it's just amazing what she can do there and what she's doing. I
Right.
just tip my hat to her, because when I was 17, I wasn't thinking about anything about improving the world or anything like that. Were you?
No. Nope. Nope.
At least we're honest on this show.
Absolutely. Well, this next one, Jim, this just absolutely gets all the feels inside me. This young gentleman's name is Kelvin Doe. One of Sierra Leone's most famous inventors got started when he began looking for ways to fix local problems with technology as an 11-year-old. Just 5 years after the country's volatile civil war ended. By 13, he was powering neighborhood houses with batteries made of acid, soda, and metal in a tin cup. He went on to build a community radio station out of recycled parts that he powered with a generator, also made out of reused material. David Stenga, a PhD student at the MIT Media Lab and Kelvin's mentor, said, in Sierra Leone, other young people suddenly feel like they can be like Kevin.
Wow.
And that's an extremely poor area. That's an extremely poor area.
It really is. And this young man was on the CNN. This is the CNN Heroes. And just amazing. His name is Jahkil Jackson. That's Jahkil Jackson. And he got into a cause about distributing food to the homeless with his aunt. And they went to the south side of Chicago, and they established a cause called Project I Am, and to give out blessing bags. I like that, blessing bags, which contains essentials like soap, toothbrushes, and socks to homeless people. And all at the tender age of 8 years old. That's when he started. He's now 12. But his group has helped over 35,000 people in need all around the world.
Wow.
Think about that. 12 years of age, and he's helped a multitude of people, because 35,000 people is a multitude of people.
That's a
All
good
of
sized little town right there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's people that would love, I know speakers that would love to get in front of a third of that size.
Right?
He's also a motivational speaker at 12 years of age.
That is amazing.
And he's the youth ambassador for several other organizations. Jackson strives to get young people involved in their communities on a local and global level. That's where everything starts, is
Mhm.
grassroots, the
It does.
locality.
And it starts with the idea. And so
Yeah.
many times we get busy, Jim, as adults, and our children come to us with an idea and we kind of poof it away.
Mhm.
And we shouldn't poof it away. We should encourage them to try.
Mhm.
We should encourage them to soar.
Oh, yeah.
All these
Yeah.
children that we're talking about, they soared.
They certainly did. And this young man, he's involved in getting other people involved in their local communities to branch out in a global way. And he's received many, many honors. One, of course, when President Barack Obama was the president of the United States, he was invited to the White House and he was named Marvel's Hero Project and by the president, and sharing his example of what can be done to build, you can do this to build any child's self-esteem. It doesn't have to be on the grand scale of things. It's about creating something that makes a contribution back to society.
Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah, I tell you.
This next one, this was very humbling. And it doesn't say when this took place, but it's Nicholas Lowinger. When Nicholas was a tween, he met a brother and sister experiencing homelessness. The pair took turns going to school because between the brother and the sister, they only had one pair of shoes. Nicholas gave the boy a pair of basketball sneakers and thus kicked off an organization that would come to be known as Gotta Have Soul, SOLE, through which footwear has been donated to over 99,000 children in homeless shelters.
That's truly amazing. And there's another young lady I'd like to speak about. Her name is Emma Gonzalez. Emma Gonzalez, she actually survived a school shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Hill Park in Parkland, Florida. A group of teen activists formed to fight for an end of gun violence. And when you're a victim like that, she's definitely got skin in the game. And she was one of the students, in addition to David Hogg, Alex Wind, Jackson Corn, Cameron Caskey, and many others, for gun control, and gave a motivational, moving speech at the March for Lives rally, in which she read the names of classmates who died in shooting. And after the work of Emma and her fellow activists, the majority, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act was passed by Florida lawmakers in March 2018. And that's extremely important because as adults, we could also step up to the plate and we could actually help keep our schools safe. My personal recommendation is let some of us retired military be on guard duty there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll bring our own guns and ammo. It won't cost anything because protecting our kids in school is critical.
It's everything.
It's everything. Absolutely. I mean, I think about, about when I was in school, how I would have reacted if this kind of chaos went on.
Right.
And I don't know how I would have reacted because it didn't exist in our time.
We had gangs.
Mhm.
Of course, I grew up here in Phoenix, so there were gangs that were coming in. So we dealt with that. But
Mhm.
as far as that kind of violence, no,
Mhm.
did
Yeah.
not happen. Did not happen.
Exactly.
So, Jim, you said you asked me if I was thinking about helping the world at 17. And honestly, we both said no, correct?
Hmm.
How about 3?
Ooh.
How about age 3?
Are you
Ryan?
gonna be talking about Ryan Hickman?
Yes.
That's a great story.
Oh my gosh. Ryan Hickman was 3 when he took a visit to the Replanet Recycling Center in California.
Mhm.
Here he found his calling. At age 7, Ryan started Ryan's Recycling. And he started out collecting cans and bottles from his neighbors as as his recycling has risen to over 50 customers and over 200,000 bottles and cans.
Mm.
And this is what he told CNN. It's because bottles go back to the ocean and then the animals get sick and die.
Ooh. Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That one hits you.
Hmm. It sure does. And we have a visitor here in the studio. Did you know that, Donna?
I do see him.
Yeah, one of the youngest people we know, and he just wanted to jump in here and share some interesting stories about youth, and he's done a lot with youth. Let's welcome to the stage Mr. Emerson Brantley. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, Emerson.
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I had a medical appointment this morning, and or this afternoon. I was able to get out early enough, and I said
Mhm.
I'm going to join in the show.
Hey, we're glad you're here. And every time he goes to a medical appointment, and if they don't lock the doors, he'll sneak out. That shows how young he is.
You know,
Oh,
I actually, if I can backtrack just a minute on a story a few people
sure,
back, okay,
sure.
and I may have missed it, Donna, when you were talking about the plastic in the ocean and all.
Mm.
Mhm.
Um, by the way, if you knew me well, one of the passions that I have, and one of the things that I serve on, is the board of directors for the United States Chamber, Green Chamber of Commerce. And there's a young guy from the Netherlands, Boyan Slat, who at about age, I think he was 17 or 18, he invented a process to go in and scoop up some of those billions and billions of pounds. Did you talk about him?
No, but I've
No.
seen it. I've seen
Okay, yeah,
the footage. It is unbelievable, that
yeah.
invention.
And since then, they have pulled out literally hundreds and hundreds, probably millions of pounds
Mm.
of all sorts of trash, not just
Right.
plastic, because you get bathtubs, you get refrigerators, you get pieces of containers and
You name it,
ubiquitous
it's there.
plastic chairs and all the things.
Clothing
And they go in and they scoop it up, they split it out, and they are able to, in many cases, take that and recycle it. And you were spot on when you were talking about how those things affect the sea life. I mean, I love seafood. I grew up in Florida. I love seafood. And it hurts me,
Mm.
to know how much of that affects the ocean and the life in the ocean. But
Mhm.
even beyond that, the plastic breaks down. It does break down
Well,
into what they call microplastic.
yeah.
And here's what's happened.
I guess I should have stated it. It doesn't break down properly.
Right. No, you're right. You were right. No, yeah, you were right. But even in our own bodies, we get about the equivalent of a credit card worth of plastic in our own systems, in our own
Wow.
flesh, every single year, every person.
Wow.
And that's coming from the microplastics
Mhm.
that are getting into the food chain.
Yeah.
And here we are, we're eating it.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, because I read something about that. Just drinking water out of plastic bottles, we can
yep.
get a lot of that microplastic in there. And when
So,
it comes to Emerson loving seafood, we saw that when we were all in Tomball, Texas, there with Marty Haggard. Yes, we had salmon, but all the food he saw, he loved.
that was some bodaciously good salmon, wasn't it?
We had some good rations there. Good times.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's another young guy though, a young person who they're the hope that the young people are always the hope of the future.
Mhm.
You know, we screw enough stuff up over the course of our life. The next generation ends up being the ones who figure out how to fix the stuff that we've left behind.
Right.
But he's another example. And another one of my favorites that you mentioned, Greta from Sweden. I mean, what a powerhouse. And Greta she's on the, help me here, Donna, she's on the spectrum. The
Autism.
autism spectrum. Yes. Thank you.
Mhm.
And she is very uncomfortable speaking and interfacing with people. And yet this young girl has spoken to the United Nations
Mhm.
and other government bodies around the world. And the power and the passion that's driving them, there's, you know, 1,000,001 more examples out there, and it's up to us often to see through our eyes the brilliance and the power that our future generations have, and the way that they see the world, you know, and the things that they're doing. They're figuring it out. They're doing it.
This next young man, I've got to give a shout out. Listen up. We've all seen the videos, what I call the TikTokers, and they're usually on there, you know, just trying to draw attention to themselves. But this young man, he sets the bar. His name is Robbie Novak, Novak. I don't know if you folks out there in TV land have heard about him, but Robbie Novak, he's bringing more joy to the world, and that can make this is what made this kid incredible and made him very well known. He's known as the Kid President. That's right, like the President of the United States. He's the Kid President. He did this with his series of YouTube videos. Now, he started with his older brother-in-law, and he began back in 2012 when he was just 8 years old. And his goal was to make the world, listen up now, to make it less boring and more awesome by spreading these messages. He spreads messages of love and positivity. My goodness gracious.
And probably inspiration and hope too, Jim. You better watch out.
Oh yeah, he might shove me out of the way and say, "Get out of the way, guy. Let me
Right?
share this.
He's knocking on our door, Jim.
There you go. His outlook on life is super inspiring because this gave little Novak, you know, who has brittle bone disease, and
Right.
Wow.
his popularity has just grown tremendously. And after taking a break to focus on school, just being a kid, he's now 16. He has started a second YouTube series, a motivational travel show focused on kids across the country. And his message is, try these acts of kindness that you can do to change the world. My goodness gracious, that's the type of messages that some of our kids in school need to be learning about.
Right.
In addition to reading, writing, arithmetic, you know.
This next little boy, little bit of a sad story, but his name is, and I'm gonna really mispronounce this, so I apologize right up front in advance. Iqbal Mashish, and he was a Pakistan boy who escaped child slavery at the age of 10. And he became a leader in the movement to put an end to it once and for all. He helped over 3,000 children escape bondage and traveled the globe speaking out against the issue. He was assassinated when he was 12 years old. And roughly 800 people attended his funeral. However, his legacy lives on well beyond his death. In 2009, Congress started an annual award in his name given to activists fighting to end child labor.
You know, it's something that we think of as ancient history a lot of times. But things like child labor, slavery, sexual bondage, all of these different things in the scope of things, let's look at it for a moment economically. Back during our own Civil War, the average cost of a human being was roughly $500, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the average person made about $10 to $20 a month. So you had to have money. You had to have money. It was a lot of money. The average cost of a person today worldwide is somewhere between $1,000, $1,500, which is nothing. Nothing. It's the cheapest, and they've gone back through to figure this in different time periods through history. We right now are living in a time when a human life is cheaper, is worth less than at any time in recorded history. I'm going to say that again. A human life is cheaper. It's worth less right now than any other time in human history. And if you want to look at it economically, supply and demand, you have more billions of people in the world, you know, but we seem to think that we're living in an age that, you know, all of that is that's in the past. Our only, you know, people, you know, it happens in these countries or those countries. It's all over the world.
Yes, it is.
It is all over the world. So yeah, kudos to him and for his vision in it, because you know,
and his legacy lives on for it.
Hmm?
His legacy lives on for his vision.
Yes.
And for what he went through as, you know, being enslaved.
And, you know, the value, when we look at the value of somebody for who they are, not just what they can do, but who they are, the way they think, the way they see the world, the way they process things. The people that we're talking, anybody that we're talking about, that person could hold the kernel of the discovery of cures for cancer, or the discovery of ways to handle rising tides, or whatever. And when their life is diminished and they're turned into something that has no value, or is just used until it's thrown away, you know, we all lose.
Absolutely.
We all lose.
We all lose.
Yeah, we certainly do, because in the world we live in, everyone is a very important part. And one of the things that I've said in the past is, why was I born in, you know, the 20th century? Why wasn't I born in the 19th century or the 18th century? You know, you think about that, and I was born at the right time that was right for me.
Right.
And therefore, my obligation in life was to follow the course of life that was, you know, I don't want to say predestined, but I was born for a purpose, to find that purpose, follow that purpose.
To find your destiny.
And here you are, Jim.
Yeah, here I am. When I grow up, I want to be on TV, and, you know.
And Donna too.
Yep.
Yay.
But, you know, it's just amazing how, you know, we look at that and we don't really think much about it. A lot of people are more focused on what they can build. They talk about building a legacy. This young man built a legacy because his message was so powerful, it was bigger than him. And that should be our calling in life, is how can we build something that is bigger than we are? You know, more than, go ahead.
I know we've all seen, I'm assuming, we've all seen the movie Pay It Forward.
Oh yeah.
What a great story. And you know what? It's the concept of this little kid who didn't have any power. In fact, in his own little world, he didn't have any power. He was beat up on and everything else. But he had a connection, he had a vision, and he believed that those little incremental things that we do that change some little aspect of somebody's life, you add all of those up, and you've changed your community, you've changed your country, you've changed the world.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what the age is. It just as we're talking about very young people who are doing amazing things. You know, likewise, how many people in their 80s and 90s and older are still that difference? They're being mentors. They're volunteering for things, and they're doing things to make a difference.
Mhm.
It's the mindset.
Right.
It's the
Mhm.
mindset that matters. And we all, every single person, every single one of the as a listener, you
Mhm.
have a spark
Mhm.
that is different than anybody else's in the history of the world, and you have the ability to have a profound effect. And even if it's only on one person, you'll never know how much that profound effect will mean
Right.
generationally. If you go
Absolutely.
back, I don't remember the number. I'm gonna pull it up, but I think if you go back something like as little as 500 or 600 generations in your own family tree, if you go back that far, basically you have more people than are alive today. More people than are alive today in the entire world. So when we change a life, we change the trajectory of history. We change a family, we change a community, we change a city, we change a country, we change the world.
Right.
You have that value within you.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's not, you have that value within you.
And that is something that we should, share with our children and share with young people everywhere, because we got to show that we believe in them and teach them that they can believe in themselves. And I know that works very well for kids who are struggling in school, who are, just struggling just to pass and get by and get passing grades, because
Right.
they've got to have that assurance that you believe in them. Because
That
when you
they
think
matter.
back, yeah, and when you think about people that believed in you in your life, it really adds some good octane to your energy. It
Oh,
really
absolutely.
does. Mhm.
This, do you guys know the name of Mary Copeny?
I've heard that name, yes.
I haven't. Go ahead.
She's Little Miss Flint. She captured President Obama's attention in 2016 after she wrote him a letter urging him to meet with her and her community members who were traveling to Washington, D.C. for the congressional meetings on the Flint water crisis.
That's it.
Mm.
She continues to fight for the people of her hometown
Yep.
in any way she can, including crowdfunding for donations to buy backpacks for students in Flint. Mary is also a youth ambassador for the Women's March, the Climate March, and Equality for Her. And so this picture, it doesn't say how old she was, but she was not very old. I'm going to say maybe 9 or 10, maybe when this
Mhm.
went down. She's just little, but she knew that there was a problem. And so, why not? Why not write the president, right? He's our president.
Right.
We pay his wages. We pay all of Congress and all of that. So, why not write him? And it worked. She got some attention to the matter. There's still a little more that needs to be done there, I believe, but that's a different that's a different subject. But she went after what she was passionate about, and she didn't let doubt come in her mind, and she didn't
Yeah.
say to herself, well, gee, Mary, what if the president doesn't get it? She said, I'm going to write the president.
Yep. And just a little shout out for her parents.
Oh, absolutely.
And for the people in her life who influenced her teachers or counselors, because you know what? Every chance that you have to encourage a young person in a direction, even if it's not something you're entirely sure of yourself, but they feel strongly about it, let them experience it. Encourage them in it, and not just in a
never
brush
ends.
off way.
Right. And it never ends.
It doesn't end.
Right. I have a young friend. He's actually younger than my youngest child. And he's just the salt of the earth. And he didn't have any savings. So he and I had a little talk about it. And I said, well, why not? Well, I probably just blow it. And I said, wow. So what do you do when you need 4 new tires for your car? And he's got great credit I mean, it's amazing credit for his age. So I said, there's going to be times that you may not be able to fund your savings, but when you can, you should, because it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Mhm.
Yes.
Right? So, mentoring never ends. It never, ever ends. And that is
Yeah.
one thing I'm passionate about in helping be a mentor in any way. It could be the smallest thing, it could be giving somebody a recipe, right? That's still mentorship.
Oh,
When you
yeah.
get down to it, everything we do, so if that is one of the things I'm so passionate about, is being able to help people. And
But especially in cooking. I'm not as much of a baker, and my wife would say the same thing. But especially in cooking, where it's a little of this and a little of that, and you smell it and you taste it. And, for kids to see that it's okay.
to
You
experiment.
don't have to be perfect.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's powerful. Powerful.
Right. My youngest daughter cooks like I do an awful lot, where, take out the spices and this and that. And she'll still call me from time to time, say, Mom, what's in that recipe? How do I make that again? But it's funny because that's the way she grew up. She grew up watching me literally throw seasonings in, or saying, I think this might taste good.
I want to share a story about a young girl. My goodness gracious. Her first name is Zuriel, that's Zuriel, and last name is, I guess it's Odowale, Odwole. And this young lady, she was an education advocate at a very early age, and she started creating films. And she made her mark at the ripe old age of 9 years old.
Wow.
She did her first short documentary, which was about the revolution over in Guyana, as part of a filmmaking competition. And at 10 years of age, and back in 2013, she became listen up, the youngest person ever to be featured in Forbes magazine.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, she gained more attention for the self produced film she made in 2014 at the ripe old age of 12, and she called it A Promising Africa, which profiled several African nations. And she went on, she is an American, but her parents are from Africa. And she began focusing her efforts on the girls in Africa, because she could have been a girl, brought up in Africa.
Right.
And she focused on their education, and she interviewed heads of states at 12 years of age. Her
Amazing.
being a little female, and her being in Africa, just interviewing heads of states. I mean, who would
I
think that
love
would
it.
be? Yeah. And she was actually speaking at the United Nations. That's super impressive. And she established Dream Up, Speak Up, Stand Up. I'm going to
Love it.
repeat that. Dream Up, Speak Up, Stand Up, to spread the message to kids about the importance of education. And
Kudos.
yeah, because when you have a kid that may be a budding filmmaker, you want to find out and let them experiment and let them use their imagination, because they're going to see things that you will never see.
Right.
And this young girl, dream up, speak up, and stand up. Oh, I
love
like
that.
the very first word she used was dream,
Right.
visualize.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. This little girl, Makalia Ulmer, and I may have mispronounced that, is another example of how a little lemonade can change the world. After learning about how much bees do for the environment and how they're dying out, 4-year-old Ulmer decided to take action by joining a local children's business competition. Her product was a family lemonade recipe sweetened with locally made honey, and a portion of the sales going to organizations fighting to save honeybee population. She sells her lemonade at public events and has partnered with Whole Foods.
Wow. That's
Yep.
huge.
That's huge. I mean,
Yep,
this
that's
is what's so amazing. We need to encourage every child out there who has a thought, an idea, and a dream, and whether they succeed or not isn't it.
That's
It's a
not
word.
what's important.
Thank you. That is not what's important. It's the fact that they're thinking and they're trying and they're growing and they're learning. That is beautiful.
Yeah. In fact, we've talked about this before, Donna and Jim, but there was an American after World War II who went to Japan, W. Edwards Deming, and the highest award you can get in industry is still the Deming Award in Japan. But one of the things that developed out of that was the concept of creating circles of people, and when problems come up, bringing the people together and sorting out these issues. So there's continuous improvement, or as the Japanese say, kaizen. So the idea over the years, or the mindset, is that screwing up or failure or things that don't work, you bring that forward. That's great. You're a hero to do that.
Mhm.
Right.
Which is kind of the opposite of an awful lot of the messaging that our young people and older people get. That well, what have you done? What have you accomplished? What have you this? And it's like all the great things that you've done, but it's really in those stumbles, in those trying things that didn't work. That's really where we grow the most.
Right.
And when we give, and gosh, it's so hard to see it. So many times I see parents and they just don't want their kids to be hurt. They don't want their kids to fall down, or not to try out something where they may not be good at it.
Right.
It's like, give them the chance.
Mhm.
Let them figure that part out, and they figure out, hey, you know what? I may not be that great here, but I'm really good over here. And you know what? I survived doing it. It's
Let
okay.
them fail forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them fail forward.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fail forward. That's beautiful. That's beautiful, because that's where we really grow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely, it is.
Well, our time is winding down a little bit. We're
Oh,
getting a little
wow.
bit short, but I couldn't think of a better way to bring this show to a close than to talk about this organization, Dream Up, Speak Up, StandUp.com, because their vision is very, very simple. Dream Up, Speak Up, StandUp.com. Their vision is to see that every child in the world gets the chance to have an education. They say, we know it's hard work, but we have to start somewhere. So let's get started. What a message that is for young people today.
Yes.
It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard work, but the key is turn the switch on and let's get started.
Just do it.
Yeah,
love
there you
it.
go.
I love it. Well, Jim,
Mhm.
we are out of time.
I know it. We didn't bring enough quarters today, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it is. And,
Thanks for letting me in, even though I was behind the schedule here.
Oh, we knew that you were going to get out of there as soon as they unlocked the door. If you found an open window, we know you'd get out of there. So we weren't worried about that.
And maybe the straight jacket, but different show.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Biddy-biddy-biddy-biddy-biddy.
Yep. But we've really enjoyed this show, and we hope that you've enjoyed the messages that we've shared with you about these young people. Most importantly, share this show with other young people. Let them know that, and visit that website, Dream Up, Speak Up, StandUp.com. Those are powerful messages. Be sure and love yourself first, then you can love others. Most importantly, we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about pets we love. Oh my goodness gracious, we're all pet lovers.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
That's why my
Oh, yeah.
wife. That's why wife keeps me around. I'm her pet.
Folks,
I'm
we
not
will
going to
see
go
you
there. We're
right?
not going to go there though.
We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Thanks for tuning
Bye
in.
bye.
Bye bye.